So while I was doing that, I was also helping the wife at the time start this charcuterie company. Now, to be clear, like this is not a business I would do because it's like you have to make cute things. Charcuterie is interesting. So it's like, you take salami and cheese and then you hand it to creative women who then are basically in an arms race to see who can display folded meat in a more like cutesy artistic way on a slab of wood more so than the other one.
This is a very niche market is what you're saying.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
You're welcome.
See what you did?
I did. I can take credit for some of this. So we're putting this stuff together, and she used to be doing these like grazing tables, like the big ones, and like, it's a kitchen island for whoever's house, and she would go there and her friends would set it up. Now we're doing boxes and we're doing delivery and stuff like that. And I'm like, I'm not going to put these things together, but I will shove them down the throats of every high income female in a 25-mile radius. How's that? And so, because I got pretty good, over the decades at this point at like advertising, social media advertising, all these different kind of things. And so that's what I did. Just literally, we were getting like 3,200% return on these things. It was unfreaking real. And over time, and so we went from, we started in the house, which, because the government was closed down, there are no laws. Can't do that anymore. Don't do that. Okay. So started in the house, went and got a commercial place after one of the neighbors complained, which was funny. So we get a call from the city. They're like, hey, somebody says you're running a business out of, like, they were so tired. You could just tell. Right. And I'm, at first I'm like, oh, how dare you crush the spirit of the great entrepreneur. Right. And then I kind of like took a breath and looked around, and there's like freaking boxes of food everywhere in a house. I'm like, they might have a point. Maybe a little bit of a point. So she goes out, gets this commercial location, and made it great. It was kind of freaking amazing. And, I just kind of showed up where I needed to and helped out. And the rest of the time I was literally driving so much traffic. She had to come down one day because I had an office in the basement, and she's like, please stop. I'm like turn off the spigot. Yeah. She's like, because literally we're making, I think worst case scenario was like, we would make $5 for every dollar we spent, but it was typically more like 120. And what was happening was I was driving so much business into this thing. I was making the women who worked with her cry because it was such a cluster. And so I literally had to pull back on the ads, go in there and kind of act like an amoeba on the wall, just looking around, or a fly with my little eyes. Because one of my stupid human tricks is pattern recognition and then creating systems and frameworks to work within the patterns. I'm like, all right, I know what to do. So went and fixed a whole bunch of their problems so it was smooth again, and then went back to running ads, and then they didn't cry, which was interesting. Problem solved. That's the problem I was solving for. I don't know what they wanted solved. Yeah. And then we leveraged that, and I don't know why, because I have a belief in minimum movement, maximum impact.
That's one of the things I was going to bring up.
I have never deviated from this. Awesome. And her thing has always been like maximum movement, minimum impact, which is, again, like her life is an inversion of things when it comes to me. I'm not saying it's wrong for her. It's cool, great, awesome. I certainly learned things. But she wanted to start a restaurant. So I helped her with that. That's when the strokes happened. So I was literally on the phone with the bank because it blew out. I had 6 of them back here, which took out my center of balance. And it was nuts. Like, I can imagine. It was like it was twice in a day. Like the first time happened, I'd never had anything like this. I'm like, holy crap. It was so much. I actually have it written on I wrote it on the calendar in Google, what it was that happened. I'm like, I got to notate this or something. Yeah. And then it happened again at night. And that's where it was like, because I was playing Call of Duty on my phone. And because it's like the movement this close and then having that problem blow up, I literally barely made it to the bathroom. I just puked everywhere. Damn. It was awful. So yeah, I spent a lot of time in the hospital. I actually checked myself out that night, but that's a different story. But yeah, still helping her open the restaurant. And I'm like, got my ass out from the hospital gowns and tippity, tippity, tippity. The world's like, nurses are coming and going, what is wrong with you? And I'm like, I got to get this done because I don't like to quit. Yeah. But we got it. So and it became like the biggest opening in the North Shore. Like she really knocked it out of the park. She did a phenomenal job with this. And I've told her before, it's like, you fart fairy dust. Like she does something like that. And it's true. She does a phenomenal job with these things. And so she still has them and she's going, and so there you go.
And on the financial side, back from that whole story, because PJ's a huge Tiger fan.
I know. I told the whole thing just for PJ.
So on the financial side, you went into the negative, would you say? After the divorce?
Well, you look at the patterns that we were, because you brought up that scene. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
I forgot we were talking about that.
Because that's the thing. Like when I met you, your story, for those of you that don't know,
which has
been a long time, but Jonny, part of the reason why Jonny and I did this video was because you wanted to tell your history. I remember you telling me, you're like, I tell people I'm an internet marketer and I was sleeping on the couch and and they don't believe me.
I was sleeping in a futon on a concrete floor in a small office. Yeah.
And you wanted to tell that story. And so when we shot the video, the thing that I remembered, although there's a lot of stuff that I remember from the video, even before I dug into my hard drives to pick it out for today, but it was the stolen identity, how you recovered from that. I remember you telling the story. I don't think I put it in the video, but I know it was part of the interview that we did, of like having to have cash in sock drawers and
64,000 in the sock drawer
because you couldn't open up a bank account because your identity was stolen and shit like that. And it's just like, how the fuck do you recover from that? Then you do it again,
right? Hey, party!
In the divorce, you're like, you can have everything.
Yeah, keep it all. No, it's like, well, here's the thing. So that was actually, so if you get into the spiritual stuff again, that's really what this was. Is like, I have to make a decision. Am I going to believe who I am, or not? I mean, there's really no. You either do it or you don't.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm either going to act in faith.
Yeah.
Right.
I get that.
Or I'm going to try to control things, and when you first met me and I was in internet market, I was in a place where I was acting on faith while still trying to control stuff. There was no flow.
Yeah.
Well, there got to be flow, but it was a different kind of thing. Now is very different. It's very different. There's very much like, I might seem a little spastic. But there's definitely a calm behind it all. Like it's sort of, okay.
What's interesting is, I don't mean to interrupt you, but
no,
you invited me onto one of your webinars. And again, this is before digging through my hard drives, looking for the videos that we shot. Even on that webinar, I'm like, he's still doing the thing that he was doing back then. But now, and I talked about this in the last show that we did last week, where the basic gist was, when I talk about business, and I'm not like, I'm a neophyte when it comes to business, but what I see is the things that worked in the 1900s don't work today. Like sales changed, marketing changed, like how people get paid changed. What stayed the same is the process or the mindset or the principles.
No, that's true. The evolution of like the delivery of the thing.
Yeah. So on the webinar, it was interesting to me just being a fly on the wall and hearing you teach. And I was like, he's doing the same thing, but now it's like AI. And like one of the videos I pulled out from the hard drives today, you were on the whiteboard and you're like, this is how you do this and this and that. And now it's like those little pieces that you were teaching 15 years ago, 18 years ago, is now AI driven. And I was like, that is so fascinating.
What AI allows you to do.
With what you're doing, like how you're doing it.
Well, with how I'm doing it, which I think is probably a template that can be used by anybody.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the things that I've really tried to learn is, how do I take this like radically complex ecosystem of stuff and reduce it down to something that like my 9-year-old can understand? And to an extent, I've done that. But what AI is At least at this stage. Don't worry, it will take over and kill us all. Don't worry, that's coming. But right now, it's still in infantile stages, and it's cute, and you can give it a little rattle, and it smiles and coos. And it's like, oh, you're going to be such a beastie. Look at the little beastie. But right now, it's awesome because what it allows you to do, it works with you. And the reason why most people have trouble with it is because when you get something out of the box, like a ChatGPT or a Claude or a Clive or a Duke Hubert or whoever it is,
Right.
it has no frameworks. It's wide open. It's all the world's data right at your fingertips, right? But it won't let you watch all those cat videos, which like the internet, the same thing. So what you have to do is you have to create a framework for it. You have to create multiple frameworks. And so like a Venn diagram.
This is the secret sauce.
Yeah. You have the Venn diagram of all the circles. Now, a person who is not me is not going to do this because I'm a little crazy like that. And I have spent over like 100 hours doing this, like just meticulously. But you can, so what I do is I'll create it inside of ChatGPT. So I'll go and create a custom GPT, and I will literally work with it as my partner and my editor. Because I did learn from that book launch. It's like, all right, I know what I know, but I don't have access to the infinite knowledge of humanity, right? But I also know that this thing doesn't want to give up the goods a lot of times. So we gotta get sneaky with it, okay? So what you do is you have to create these frameworks. Like how, what are you going to act as? How are you going to think? How are you going to behave under these circumstances? And it's similar to code, but without code. But what you're truly doing is developing a second person in every conceivable way. And so the stuff I was teaching and the reason why, I was teaching it like I was is because before I was teaching what you literally needed like, multiple degrees to get. Like it's copywriting, it's psychology, it's mechanics, it's, web design.
And I think part of the reason why as internet marketing developed and got bigger, this is what my perspective of it is. It went from like a guy that's with his laptop that can crank shit out to like now you needed little teams to put it all together, right?
If you want to do it right, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And that was one thing that I'd always kind of put myself in a stuck position with was it was usually just me. And I had people handling customer service because I couldn't stand it.
Yeah.
But that was it. Someone else does graphics. But then by and large, I'm the one doing the things, whatever. Now it's like, okay, now I have almost limitless partners, but I also have to remember, each one of those things needs to be very closely managed. But what can happen now is instead of having to spend thousands of hours acclimating yourself, if you can just learn the frameworks and you understand the basics of just those, now you can paint by numbers.
Yeah.
As long as the tool you're using has been designed properly and will execute correctly. Because the depth of data and it is unreal, absolutely unreal. And on top of that, you have to know how to execute all this. So I'll give you an example with like, the online coaching market. Okay. It's just like every other market where you have the bottom 99% are absolutely totally confused. They got good at one thing, which is in this case, they know how to make content typically on TikTok and Instagram, right? And they know how to frame that content in such a way that it's going to get shared and liked and talked about and people, yay, and then they get followers, et cetera, right?
Right.
Not one of those single skills will make you money, which you think it would.
Right.
Because you would think that social engagement is along the path, like walking home is what I call it. You would think that, oh, look, I'm getting likes. That's awesome. Oh, look, I'm getting shares. Oh, look, blah, blah, blah. It's actually not. I can give you the reason for it, but like just in terms of like what you need to learn. So the reason people like me are still kind of mildly rare is because I've built or developed or learned or whatever without assistance the full scope of what it takes from a human psychology standpoint with the delivery mechanism of all the things online. Most people, like especially the ones that learn from people, such as myself, and then evolved into their own thing, most of them didn't learn the stuff, but they did get good at creating content because that's vital. Like short form content is hard to make, especially if you haven't done it before.
Right.
It's a thing. It's a skill, very much a skill, and it's very useful, but it doesn't get you paid.
Yeah.
So if you want to actually be able to get strangers to buy things from you, you now need to understand, like, okay, I call it hugs versus handshakes, right? So hug posts are the kind where it's like, 3 reasons why he's a narcissist. You know what I mean? It's like, and then you get like every woman will go, oh my God, this is so true. Oh, my last boyfriend was terrible. Whatever. I'm not saying, I'm just saying that's like the easy, that's what I call low hanging fruit in terms of like, let's pick on this.
For sure.
So there's that. And what it is, what that does is it instantaneously identifies with the lived experience of a large group of people, right? So these are the stories they're telling themselves. Then it also validates, because that's a huge human need, is to feel heard and understood.
Right.
And that's actually withheld from a lot of people. And so when they get that, there's been this tension and pressure building up in them. They're like, oh my God, no one understands what I'm going through.
Right.
And then they see this and they experience it. And it's like cooking with an Instapot. When you're done, you got to go, like let the pressure out.
Go,
So what happens is this is hug content. This is the stuff that goes viral and gets shared and gets likes and all these different kinds of things, right? And it does its job. You need this stuff. Like, I don't want to say there's anything wrong with this. The problem is it does not lead to getting sales because it feels in that moment like they already fixed the problem, right? It's like, oh, it's going to lay back in bed and have a smoke. That's hug content. You totally need it. You want to be able to connect with people. Totally. Yeah. So the handshake content is slightly different, where you're speaking to you're there to identify with and validate, but you don't close the loop. It's like you kind of leave it hanging a little bit, where it's like, okay, you're waiting for sales to show up. This is your 4th ad. People are clicking and no one's buying.
Right.
It's your fault. Like that kind of, it's like you did something wrong. Here's what you did wrong. And what happens is a smaller percentage of people, nobody interacts with this stuff because they're like, I don't need them to see me liking this.
Right.
But what it does is it speaks to that background shame that they have. A lot of times there's different kinds. Like, I'm not talking about selling watches, right?
Yeah.
This is information products that help people. And so it's like it then leads them to, hey, click here, to see the 3 reasons why. And then there's going to be like a sales video and something else where you identify with where they are and you move them to where you want them to be through this shared lived experience in the form of a story. But you don't close the loop because, and a lot of people are like, well, why would you do that? Because then you're like, you're not telling them everything. It's like, because you can't.
Yeah.
And it's not because you want to make money. It's because you truly cannot help people in a 3-minute freaking TikTok.
Right.
Like, you can make them feel better in the moment, but I guarantee you no one's having like this conversion come to Jesus moment.
Right.
Anything past that, like, oh, they're so mean. Like, my girlfriend and I share stuff constantly.
Yeah.
We still have all the same problems,
It's interesting because that point that you're making, I remember I was at the gym selling training, and this girl came up because she wanted to buy into this high intensity interval training class, which was a little bit more money than your normal like boot camp classes, Zumba classes, things like that. So I've got the paperwork out, getting ready to sign this girl. It goes to the point that you're saying, and she starts asking me about, oh, how's the Group X studio and boot camp and yoga, and I start telling her that's great, the classes are awesome, instructors are great. She goes, you know what? Let's just hold on to that, and I'm gonna go take those classes instead. And I was like,
it's kind of like that.
Fuck me, I totally talked myself out of a sale. And because I had that experience, the next time somebody wanted to come up and I was getting ready to sell them. And it was funny because we talked about like this like pattern thing early on. same shit happened. I had a girl come up and say, "Hey, I want to take the high intensity classes. I want to sign up membership." And I'm like, "All right, cool." And she goes, "By the way, how's the yoga class?" I'm like, "I'll tell you in a second." Da, 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 da. I'm writing everything out. "How's the Zumba class?" "I'll tell you in a second. Credit card, please." Boop. I made sure I fucking closed it. And then I was like, "What would you like to know about Zumba?" And it goes to your point of like, you can't give them everything. And if you do, it's like the hug thing that you were talking about. You're just making them feel good and they're not going to buy from you.
Right.
So it's like,
and also they can't. So for example, it would be like, I want to take the high intensity interval training. You're like, here, let me give you an article to read.
You're right.
Right. And then they picture themselves doing the thing while reading the article or watching the video or whatever. And then they never actually do it.
Do anything, right.
That's the difference is that, oh, I feel identified with, I feel heard and understood. Look at all these people because now I'm validated because here's all this social proof.
Right.
But then if you don't like walk with them during, because here's the thing, we are the stories we tell ourselves, right? So whatever problem these people wanted to solve because of that was a problem that was created because of their beliefs. Their beliefs influence their thoughts and feelings. Their thoughts and feelings influence their actions influence their outcomes.
Yeah.
And then the more they did that, the more entrenched it became, and the more like auxiliary stories they would tell that would keep themselves there and the reasons they would build up. And their subconscious now is in, full on armor going, this is who you are and I will defend it.
All right.
And so anytime something changes, they're like, no, kill it. And that's what happens. You need to have new bumpers in the bowling alley to keep you on track. And without, like, how? How would that ever happen? It doesn't, because as individuals standing on our own, we have weaponized ourselves against ourselves in terms of moving forward and progressing.
I agree. Yep.
Right? So it's like you need to get popped out of that stuff. I have the same problem. I think I don't know. I've somehow, some way figured out how to like laugh at myself because I've learned that, I have to lean into the things that are really screaming at me to stop.
Right.
I'll be like, all right, so this terrifies me. Great, let's do that. It's like jumping out of an airplane. My brother's like, I want to do this for my bachelor party. I hate heights.
Yeah.
I'm like, absolutely, let's do that. Just like saying it, it's like, oh, it's terrible. But did it anyway. It was crazy.
You did the thing.
Not so terrifying.
Yeah.
But that's what it is you need that group of people, because then the group of people you currently have in your current state are the ones who are going to reinforce the state that you're in, which might not be the state you want to stay in.
Right. No, that makes sense. And I think for somebody like I'm catching a lot of the things that you're saying. And I think somebody who's hasn't like looked into the internet marketing, like what Jonny was given is like super duper secret sauce. Cause when it comes to the AI, a lot of the stuff that you hear, if you hear anything about AI, is like, you got to be better at prompts. And you're not saying that. You're like, your framework has to be right.
If you have the framework right, the prompt could be whatever you want.
Yeah. And so that's why when as soon as you said the framework, because I was on the little webinar that you were doing, I was like, this is the secret sauce. Pay attention. Like, this is the
behind
good stuff.
Everything.
Yeah. Because it's not just about the prompt. It's like how you tell the AI, this is what I want you to do.
Right.
And also reinforces your minimum movement, maximum impact philosophy.